So, your motivation to do something changes as your confidence about it increases. So, when you have a greater confidence in your ability to do so, your your inclination to be motivated to do it and your ability to focus, it shifts. It's a game changer. Tonight, we're going to talk about 3 ways to increase your confidence in any room right after the intro. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence. You amplify a voice of excellence. Your contribution to this world will be of excellence. You will achieve your highest goals and desires with excellence. Excellence in everything, every time. Hey family, I'm Linnita Hosten. Happy Tuesday. I am your favorite soft skills coach. And if you didn't know what a soft skill is, it's your ability it is how you are able to connect with those that you love and lead by way of your communication skills, managing your emotions, diffusing conflict. Those are all soft skills. Really passionate about teaching those things, not only to our teenage or Gen Zs, but also to those that love and lead them in any capacity. I think tonight's topic is definitely we are compounding on the idea of using your voice, the ability to verbalize your thoughts fluidly and with confidence in any capacity. And I wanted to chat about that tonight. But if you are watching live, go ahead and type in the comments, "Hey, I am here," and I appreciate you for joining. Let me know that you're here. And if you happen to catch the replay, you can type in #replay. If this is your first time watching, let me know where you're watching from. It's always cool to see those across the world where they are streaming from. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if you have a smart device, you can also watch our shows with your family in the living room. That's a slight plug. Okay, really quickly, I asked my auntie AI, and if you know what AI is, you know exactly what I'm referring to. But I asked my auntie in AI, how do you behave when your confidence is low? This is what Auntie AI said. You have reduced assertiveness. You may become more passive. You avoid taking on challenges or asserting your opinion. You feel less inclined to contribute or speak up in discussions or conversations. Auntie AI said you also have negative self-talk. You engage in self-critical thoughts focused on your perceived, not reality, your perceived weaknesses. And you avoid new challenges and opportunities, which hinders your personal and professional growth. Auntie was dropping gems. Auntie said you also practice avoidance. You try to avoid situations or tasks that require a higher level of confidence. This could also include avoiding new challenges, particularly at work. And the last one that Auntie AI said is that you have decreased motivation, low motivation, low enthusiasm. You find it hard to initiate tasks, hard to maintain focus, and hard to drive towards your goals. That's what Auntie AI said. What happens when that is the behavior that you have when your confidence is low. And that is a bomb dropper. Hey Jock, thank you for watching. It's good to see you. Happy Tuesday. That's a bomb dropper. And I don't know about you, but I don't like something controlling me that I can control. And we allow things like our fear, our own perceived inadequacies. Notice I said perceived. When we allow those things to put a lid on our voice or a lid on our confidence, we are basically saying, like, I'm okay with being controlled from where I am. And I don't know about you, but that is not excellence. And so tonight I just wanted to give you 3 ways that you can increase your confidence in any room. And you know I'm all about practicality. And so I want to give those to you. I want to start by saying confidence it's not a constant state. It can fluctuate just depending on your skills and ability, the level of focus and the intentionality that you're putting in this new thing that you're learning. And so it is normal to experience periods where you have low confidence and that you build it. But there's the level of self-awareness that I'm hoping that you have a level of conscientiousness. Now that we're talking about how your confidence may affect your ability to show up in a room, it's that self-awareness that we want to feed, and so that you can gradually build your confidence. All right, but let's jump in. I want to jump in. Just give you 3 ways and I'm out of here. I like to be quick, easy, and succinct. Okay, so the first way that you can build your confidence is you got to practice visualizing the outcome. Like fighting back what we call your inner critic with an inner coach. Visualize what would be the outcome positively if you were to move in that way, or if you were to show up powerfully in this room. So it depends on the scenario, but let's say you are a principal and there's a monthly staff meeting, and people volunteer to lead the professional development, and you have not yet done that. You don't feel, you're a new principal, maybe you're young, maybe you don't feel as adequately skilled or knowledgeable in comparison to your colleagues. So typically, like Auntie AI said, we would avoid it. But in this instance, visualizing what would it look like to fight the fear of actually standing in front of your colleagues to prove to yourself that you were able to deliver the PD. So thinking about that in your head. One of the things I like to do is I write a pros and cons list when I'm challenged in my thought about something. What are the pros? If this were to go right, if I were able to assemble it correctly, what would be the pros? What would be the cons if I didn't even try? And typically every time I've done this activity, the pros outweigh the cons. It's just a way of convincing myself to go for the pro. And so how can you visualize or train your mind to look for the most positive outcome? And I don't know if you have this practice, but when you're consistently visualizing yourself achieving your goals, your subconscious starts to store those visuals. So your subconscious is your memory house. It's where your emotions, your principles, all of those things are stored. They're stored there by what we see and hear repeatedly. That's how we get them in our subconscious. Sub meaning below the state of consciousness. It is through our subconscious that our daily behaviors are played out. So if you think about when you drive to work, if you work outside of your home, you're not thinking about where to go. Maybe if you have to, you have a detour perhaps, but your mind, let me rephrase that. Your body has memorized the steps to get there, just like riding a bike. We call it muscle memory. So your mind functions similarly when you're trying to get something to your subconscious. And so the more you visualize yourself positively or achieving your goals or fighting the fear, your mind starts to store that in the storehouse. And it's from that storage place that your daily behaviors begin to play out. So that was a long roundabout way of saying, when people say things like it starts in your mind, if you believe it, you can achieve it, what they're referring to is the science behind how the mind works. I like plain language. So when people say things, catchy phrases, repeat other quotes, I'm looking to see, what does that mean? Make it plain. And tonight I'm telling you, the plain language is that scientifically it is proven that when you see and hear something repeatedly, your mind downloads it and stores it. Over time, those downloads and storages are where you function your daily habits. So hopefully that makes sense, and that wasn't too deep. Writing down what we want to see, we start to see, and having what we want. I love that, Casey. I might have to practice that myself. Not only just what I want to see, where I am, and then actually having the thing that I want. So I hear you saying, to me, when I read this, I hear segment it down, or break it down into where you are, where you like to go, and what do you see going. Love that. Thank you for adding that. So that's the first one. Can you visualize the success? And if you can, begin to think about that. Visualization could look like, depending on your preference, but if you like to write, if you journal, you may draw like an icon of what you visualize. If it's money, if it's increased confidence, if it's forgiveness, if it's increased understanding, maybe you might draw a brain. But where you're putting those visualizations, I think, is what matters. So do you create them in Canva and save them as your screensaver on your phone? Are they on your screensaver for your work laptop? Do you have them printed out posted on the refrigerator? Because you have to see it repeatedly. You either have to continue to read it repeatedly, and I know, Jock, you do this with your manifestation list. Every day you woke up and you would read that. So it's the same concept, except if you're going to use a visual, where else can you store that? So just being intentional about whatever it is that you want your mind to download, that you're repeatedly seeing it and hearing it. The reverse of that is if it's an area that you struggle with and you're repeatedly hearing that you're unable, incapable, incompetent, like your mind starts to download that too. So if you're in circles of people who are challenging you in the reverse way, like, no, that's not possible, stay in your lane, you're thinking too big, then those things get downloaded too. So you may have to change your circle where people are amplifying the visualization that you see for yourself. And so that's why community is really big. That's why masterminds are really big, because the influence that those people have on you over time is powerful. Okay, second way, because I like to keep it quick. The second way that you can increase your confidence in any room, you got to practice. I don't understand why people think you can just show up and be great. You really have to practice. Do you know how much practice time I put in when I have to speak? Even if it's for something small. Practice to me looks like writing down what I'm going to say, thinking it through, saying it aloud, pulling up things related to what I'm doing, being intentional about what I'm focusing on listening to that week so I can get creative ideas. Practice is essential. I've only winged one engagement in the past 10 years. Winged meaning I walked in feeling confident enough that I could come up with the right words to say. I've done that one time. It was disastrous. I would never do that again. And I talked about this 2 weeks ago. When you are nervous, your body can only do one thing at a time, fight or flight. So if you lack preparation and you already struggle with anxiety, if you already are not as confident in your voice, showing up to a place unprepared is literally like, okay, it's like driving on the opposite side of the road and not expecting to crash. So you have to prepare yourself to fight against those things. So your fight is in your practice time. So if someone asks you to speak up, if you want to speak up, if you want to present in a room, or you want to be on a team, you have to practice what you're going to say. If you're going for a new job, if you're sitting in for if you're sitting in for a volunteer opportunity, what are you going to say? Thinking about that, writing it down, saying it out loud. And what I do is I record myself. I record the thing that I want to say and I play it back. Because again, I want to store it in my subconscious so that in the moment it comes up to my memory. This is a very advanced way of thinking about it. But you want to be almost instinctual. And so practice I can't express how important that is. Stop winging it. Anytime you have to show up and you desire to show up with a level of confidence, you got to practice. Even if they only want you to talk for 2 minutes, write that 2 minutes out. When you are unprepared, I'll tell you, unpreparedness looks like this when you're in a room. It looks like rambling, like going on and on and on, going off topic. It looks like focusing on something that's irrelevant, like the weather, kids, how people are doing, snacks, making compliments about the room. When you're focused and prepared, you are ready to go straight in, like you're diving straight in. So as a speaker who has trained myself to do that, I actually don't like it when people do what I just described, because I know it's lack of preparation. It's an easy way of saying to other people who are listening, I wasn't prepared to get to do my assignment today. So while I fill out and figure out what I'm going to say, I'm going to waste your time. To me, that's what it translates to. I see you guys are coming in the comments. And I'm going to add these up. Hey, Taylor. Taylor says, that has been historically disastrous for me when I have not written something down. I always have to write it down and practice it. It makes you more at ease while you're speaking. Oh my gosh. And ease is invaluable when you're already think of it this way. If 50 people in the room, that's 100 eyes on you. And to be honest, they're not just listening to what you're saying, they're listening to what your body is doing too. And I talked about this in the Stage Power series. You can't have a level of conscientiousness about your body movement if you're thinking about what you're going to say. You have to be really trained in order to do that. And I would probably say around my 6th or 7th year, I could do that. So I could be talking to you so into what I'm saying, and I'm very conscious about what my feet are doing, if I'm pacing, if my hands have too much, very conscious. But that takes practice. So if you don't have enough practice time, and nonverbal communication is actually more prevalent than your verbal communication. And if I could break that down even further, when people are listening to you, they're looking at your nonverbal communication before they're listening to what you're actually saying. So that means you are supposed to be thinking about what your body is doing. You rob yourself of that ability when you come unprepared. So if you want that ease that Taylor B was talking about, you gotta practice. You gotta practice. Casey said, I have heard that practice improves our efforts. Yes, it does. It does. So I'm gonna tell you the story and then I'll share one thing. A few weeks ago, I was invited to an event for DC Public Schools, and the mayor's office was there, and I got the invitation 2 days before. I typically don't like that kind of thing because I have to rush. And to me, preparation looks like praying on that Monday. It looks like getting into some reading to get inspired on Tuesday. Like it's a slow thing for me, but I didn't have time to do that. So when I showed up at the venue, I was very uneasy. I'm uneasy, and what I'm sharing with them are things that I've been talking about for 10 years. So, and I'm still uneasy. And I remember sitting in my seat, and the event organizer said, "You ready to go? Do you feel prepared?" I said, "No," because I've trained myself to prepare. That level of ease only comes when I really take my time. Really take my time. Hey, Dewan. I love to share them. Dewan said, I love your stories. I love to share them. I got plenty. I have plenty. So listen, if you want a chance to practice, one of the ways you can do it is you can join me in August. I'm hosting a stage power intensive. It's a full day. I'm not calling it a workshop. It's an intensive. It's an intentionality of narrowing down a thorough review of a topic. And for this particular topic we'll be discussing are basically the fundamentals of public speaking. So this intensive is for you if you experience anxiousness when you're called on to speak in groups, if you have difficulty expressing yourself to those you do not know, if you have low confidence in your ability to communicate concisely, if you feel that others do not listen when you speak, if you desire to improve your communication skills in general, if you have a vested interest in your personal growth and self-improvement, and then finally, you have little or no prior knowledge of public speaking. This is who I'm targeting. So this isn't for someone who's already speaking. This is for someone like, man, I definitely have an opportunity to improve. If that sounds like you, then I am inviting you to join me August 4th in Columbia, Maryland. Registration officially opens up on Friday. And registration opens up on Friday. You can join the wait list and be one of the first to be notified on Thursday at workwithlinnita.com. So when the registration opens up, you'll be the first to know. And the reason why I'm doing this is because there are only 15 seats. So I'm going to tell you how I envision this because for those of you who are joining me for the first time today, I actually teach public speaking at a local college. And I am typically rated very highly in my reviews from students. These are students who come in very anxious, basically scared. They don't want to do it. And they leave empowered. They leave feeling like, I'm glad I fought back my fear. I feel more confident. So I know I have a 100% confident level that a person who comes and sits under to learn that they will have a transformation in their mindset about their abilities and in their skill set about practicing it. I know that 100% without a doubt. And so I'm excited to finally do this. So if you want to join the wait list, and you'll be notified first thing on Thursday, because there are only 15 seats. The point I was making was that this is an intimate time for learning. This isn't the time for 100 people to be learning this. This is time for practice. So every area that we learn, and you can see what those areas are on Friday when registration releases, but every area that we learn, we'll be practicing. So on each side of the room, each participant will have their own tripod. So we're buying tripods for each person because you cannot improve something that you're not studying. And that brings me to my last point for today. When you're looking to improve your confidence or grow your confidence, you have to study other speakers. So for the Stage Power Intensive, the speaker that you'll be studying is you. That's why you're bringing your tripod, because you're going to film yourself. We'll give you instructions. You're going to film yourself. You're going to study it, and then we're going to share it out as a group. That's just one of the ways. But I'm giving you all the tea. So let's jump back in. This is the last way to increase your confidence in any room. You got to study other speakers. Like, who are you listening to? And not listening for them to make a mistake, listening to judge their opinion, listening because of how they look, like you're attracted to them, male or female. So you just aesthetically, you're looking at them because you are, I don't know, in awe or admiration. Not that kind of study. But listening to like, how do they like begin to share something? What is their body doing when they're speaking? What's their cadence like when they're trying to emphasize a point? How are they using their muscles in their face to articulate their words? So really studying other people. When people ask me, who did you study to get to this point? I didn't study anyone, but I read a lot of books. There's a very fine line when you decide to study someone. You can almost emulate them without even knowing. It's the same principle I just told you about the mind. When you see and hear something repeatedly, it's downloaded into your subconscious and you begin to act out on those things. So without knowing, you can begin to sound like someone. It's why if you've ever caught yourself saying, oh my God, I sound just like my dad, or oh my God, I sound just like my mom, because those things, those memories, those words have been stored into your subconscious. So when you're studying someone, you may find that you begin to take on their traits. This is not the intent of that. I'm not asking you to study and sound like them, to mimic them, because God purposed you with your own voice and your own way of reaching people, your own way of exuding confidence. So it's not that, but it's studying them to learn their tactics. And how can that help you improve your abilities? And so one of the things that I do listen to when I attend church. I listen to my pastor. I'm watching how he's moving the stage. I watch it. I watch his visuals, like what he used to stimulate his learner. He always has a tangible. I listen to how his stories are told with a hook at the end that ties in his point, that brings it home. Like I study that more so than a person's cadence and them talking fast and then speeding down, like those sorts of things. But you gotta study. One of the best people to study is yourself. And I shouldn't be telling you this because we're going to talk about this in August, but I don't believe in lack of provision. I believe in abundance. So I'm not going to not share some things because I want you to pay for it. But I'll say this: if you want to study yourself, if you have a tripod at home or you have your phone, whenever you have a chance to speak up, record it. Put it on mute first and play it back with no audio. Because I want you to focus on what was your body saying. Were you making eye contact? Did you have positive facial expressions? Or did the expression support what you were saying? Were you moving your hands? Were your hands a distraction? Were you pacing? Were you pivoting? Was your feet tapping? Was your hands crossed? Because if you are very new to this, your level of awareness about those things might be very low, and that's normal. So you watch yourself on mute first. Then when you got enough courage, because no one likes to watch themselves, by the way, then you unmute it and then you listen to what you're saying, because 93% of what we communicate is nonverbal. So you start with the nonverbals first, evaluating them. You can do this at home. Now that we are approaching summer, and if you have children or you work in an education capacity, you can do this as an exercise with your students. No one wants to watch themselves on camera unless they are, I don't know, like Kanye and their self-esteem is through the roof. But typically people don't like to do that. It's like a cringe. You got to get over that to get improvement in the area that you desire. And in this case, it is your confidence. Hey, Kendra. Kendra said, I needed to hear this last month. I had to speak at a funeral. Kendra, how did it go? How did that go? And I'm really sorry for your loss. Last year, I had to speak at my great-grandmother's funeral. It was the first time I didn't have to just speak, but I had to be the person who I don't know the word, but they're responsible for hosting the service. And that was challenging. I will say that. There's an emotional capacity that you have to be prepared for. And so I applaud you for even volunteering to do something like that. And I would love to hear how it went. And regardless of how you think it went, I'm sure you did the best job that you can do in that moment. Best job you can do in that moment. Tell me what you learned tonight. We talked about 3 ways to increase your confidence in any room. We talked about the power of visualizing the results, the science behind why visualization matters. We talked about the importance of actually practicing. Don't wing it, but you got to practice. Even if you feel like you only have 2 minutes, write it out. I'll also share with you an opportunity to join me in August at Stage Power Intensive in Columbia, Maryland. And you can get more information about that at linnitahosten.com. And then finally, we talked about the importance of studying other speakers and particularly yourself. And I gave you some strategies to do that. What was your biggest takeaway tonight? What did you learn tonight? I would love to hear that. What did you learn tonight? What did you learn tonight? I cannot wait. If you've been following any of the content that I've been posting on social media, I'm essentially building up to Stage Power Intensive, but I'm sharing my journey for the past 10 years because I think it makes a difference when you understand the background of a person who's attempting to teach you. This is not me reading from a book. This is experience of me overcoming my own insecurities and fears about public speaking, making money from it, essentially, and loving it. So I went from being shrinking to like, this is my joint, like, say less. That's how I feel now. I feel like that. Say less. Okay, Dewan said what he learned was the importance of practice. Yes, even if you have 2 minutes, doesn't matter. Practice. So I don't want you like, beating around the bush, trying to come up with stuff to say. Don't be that person wasting people's time. Straight to the point. Learning from someone's traits can increase my confidence. However, no matter what, I need to practice. Yes, what I'm trying to tell you, when you start practicing for your interviews, game changer. If you up for promotion and you sit down and practice, you pull out all of your past performance and activities that you've done to justify the increase. Let's say you have practiced talking through your strengths and opportunities for improvement, and you come ready to, as a well-oiled machine, to communicate that. Now, I want to give some grace here. There are some instances you cannot talk your way into changing something. That's very true. But in the instances when you just don't know that your ability could impact change something, that's not the time to be playing small. It's even more powerful when you're applying for a job and you're sitting in front of a decision maker, when you've studied your experience and you can just pull experiences out the hat. I remember a time when I did this. Yes, there was a time when I did this. Game changer. You gotta practice, and that's in any capacity. Taylor says, my biggest takeaway was study myself. Yes, on mute first, and then unmute yourself, and then listen. And you're going to cringe. That's natural, but as you go on, you will anticipate wanting to study because you're looking for the improvement. So yes, I love that you said that. Hey, Sean. Sean said, the importance of practicing. Absolutely. Okay. Y'all scholars tonight. I love it. All right. That's all I got for you on this Tuesday. I thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Good night. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence.